Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on trailer number 2 for Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, a movie that is my entire lifetime in the anticipation, all of my life. I've wanted to see the live-action incarnations of Superman and Batman meeting together on the screen. I'm thinking of like fever dreams from childhood and early teenage years of thinking, Christopher Reeve meets Michael Keaton, and in later life, even though Superman Returns wasn't the greatest Superman movie of all time, seeing Brandon Routh and Christian Bale, and now we finally have it. It's finally becoming realized. It is real. It is genuinely happening. Superman and Batman are going to be on the screen, and I have the highest of hopes for, Henry Cavill to reprise this role and Ben Affleck to come in as Bruce Wayne, the Batman. And we're not only getting that, though. That's the most exciting thing. We're getting the Justice League. We're getting Aquaman and all his badassery, Cyborg, The Flash, maybe Green Lantern at some point, Wonder Woman, and freaking, it's just insane. It's absolutely got me goosebumps riddled. No bigger time to be a DC Comics fanboy all my life. Marvel fanboy as well, but much more DC oriented has my taste always been. And so this is a dream come true. Seeing this movie, seeing this trailer, I have to admit I was somewhat taken aback and surprised by the tone. In my initial watching of it, I watched it a dozen times now, but in my initial watching I was kind of taken aback by the tone, which I felt kind of flip-flopped a little bit between sort of kooky, more DC Comics flavor, as you might have seen, going back to the Christopher Reeve Superman films, which I enjoyed, and I thought was interesting in this trailer, but I didn't quite know what to make of it and how I would feel about it as it went on. And we're seeing kind of a loopy, goofy Lex and, Doomsday, which I really was kind of hoping they wouldn't be pulling out of their hat. There were just certain things that I didn't really know how I felt about, and I wasn't as excited about it upon first viewing. Some of the dialogue as spoken by Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne, I just kind of felt was slurry a little bit. It's one of those things where the more I have watched the trailer, the more penultimately excited, that much more every single time I've been getting. And even the things that took me aback at first, becoming that much more sort of, aligned to in mind and really excited about. From right out of the gate, I love that, you have this confrontation between Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne, although I was that's one of the first, aspects of the trailer that took me aback. We're kind of just opening it on this gala event that Bruce Wayne is arriving at, and presumably it's held by Lex Luthor, since he kind of takes the credit for getting these two guys together and everything. But just Bruce showing up and Clark Kent being there as the Daily Planet's reporter, chief reporter, whatever it is, and just covering the event. And he's like, who's that? And some guy gets a quip in, oh, you must be new. It's Bruce Wayne, of course. And the back and forth between them, that was the first point in the trailer that got me goosebumps induced and just excited beyond reproach. Because, of course, you have Clark Kent getting up in Bruce's face. What do you feel about the Gotham Bat vigilante and all this stuff, and how that's kind of going against the annals of justice and law and all that kind of stuff? And I love the comeback. You have Bruce Wayne basically saying, this coming from, the Daily Planet, one of the Daily Planet's star reporters who always does a fluff piece whenever, the Man of Steel gets a cat out of a tree. This alien, very much looking inside the mind of where Bruce Wayne is coming from. This alien who could wipe the floor with the world if he wanted to in the blink of an eye. The danger that represents, And of course, he's talking about being used to just, dealing with psychos in clown costumes and everything, and the look returned to him from Clark Kent, because you know what he's talking about. He's, comparing the Joker, the madness of the Joker, to Superman, even though the majority of the world sees him as a hero. But we know there are going to be the sort of, derogatory elements who are calling into question, is he here for the greater good? Can we actually trust him? And I find that all highly, utmost compelling. And then, as I say, Lex comes in there. He's kind of aloof and goofy, and you don't really know what to make of him. And I actually did get a pretty good chuckle, even in my initial reaction, where I still didn't know how I felt about this incarnation of Lex, the way he was carrying himself. It still got me chuckling when he goes to shake, Clark's hand, and he's like, oh, God, watch out for that guy's grip. Don't pick a fight with him and everything. That actually did get me laughing. Because it almost also, in thinking about it, it almost tips the hat. Maybe Lex has an idea that Clark Kent is Superman, and how much more of just an insane, chess match is that going to be if he knows who Clark Kent is, if he knows who Bruce Wayne is to boot. Pitting these two together, I mean, he's taking credit for it right there at the party in their sort of, just everyday life guises, but it almost feels like there's more to it. And of course, you hear later dialogue from Lex talking apparently to Lois Lane about this is the greatest gladiatory match in the history of all mankind, getting the Gotham Bat and the last son of Krypton to fight each other, to duke it out. And of course, we also see, as a brief aside, some clips from the 47-second teaser that came out as a precursor to this full trailer, which in and of itself, we saw much more of that scene in that 47 seconds, was just stark in contrast. I mean, the gravitas there, the tension there as, Bruce Wayne is waking up in those desert fatigues. Some people are speculating that that was like a nightmare sequence for him in his fear of what Superman is capable of, taking over the world and everything like that. And, he's hanging from the ceiling, he's chained to the ceiling of this underground facility. Superman thunderbusts right down inside of it, and you have these soldiers bowing to him as if in worship. Supes comes up, and he's got that just stricken face, just an angry expression, and he tears off the cowl and almost looks at it mockingly before throwing it to the floor. And of course, Bruce Wayne is looking at him with disdain, and it just ends, and that's all there is. And part of me was thinking about that particular 47-second teaser, maybe this is a scenario where Batman has been following leads, led astray by Lex Luthor, to trap him and to give the impression that Superman is this godly being who's trying to control the world, and all of it is a ruse. Maybe Superman's even going along with it to try to get inside and get Bruce the hell out of there before they kill him or something like that, if not a nightmare scenario. But that's that 47-second one, and that was just balls to the wall. And getting back to this particular trailer, it was just very intriguing to me, once again, hearing from Alfred as well, being the voice of reason, trying to say, are you going to go to war? And this idea that Bruce, again, calling to what Bruce's reaction to the destruction of Metropolis and, the greater aspect of the effects it will have, the ramifications it will have on the world, talking about this guy brought the war to us. This is that, in many of the arguments for people who were like naysayers of Man of Steel, which I absolutely loved, it's one of my all-time favorite films, they would time and time again say, here's this guy, if he hadn't had to come to Earth, that's one of their reasons for hating the movie or the character. He brought it here, it's his fault and everything like that. And not seeing Superman for the hero that he is, for all the heroism he displayed. It was his first day on the job and all the lives he saved, and yet Bruce is kind of taking that tack, like, no, it's his fault. He should have known better. He brought it here. It was, their world's problems, and it vomited itself all over our planet, and he's got to pay. He's got to be stopped, even at the risk of my own life, because of course you have Alfred saying it's a suicide mission. But they're banging heads. Bang on with the banging heads. And it's just goosebumps inducing seeing some of those sequences, especially when you get the armor suit and Batman is thrown down. And my favorite moment probably of the whole trailer is at a point when Superman has gotten him down on the ground. He's like, stay down. Can't you, are you thick? Can't you understand if I wanted you dead? You would be. It would have been over in the first second of this attack, of this back and forth, trying to appeal to Batman's nature. And then, of course, that point, which was the most controversial to me in my initial watching it, Doomsday making his reveal. Batman has been effectively shot down in his Batwing, or whatever the hell they're going to be calling it in this film, and he's still in the seat, and he's trying to get the hell out of there. And I didn't really care for the cutting off when he sees this Doomsday creature, which of course, per some of the scenes in the trailer, we come to understand this is Lex's harvesting, probably out of Zod, or maybe reanimating the corpse of Zod, to create this creature, because of course it has the heat vision, the laser vision and everything, and debuted following on from this moment where, again, my initial reaction was like, really? Doomsday? And I have to say, I've since, in watching it time and time again, we're talking about a movie where we know primarily that there are just heroes all over the place. You've got Superman, you've got Batman. There are going to be people coming to see them fighting, but I never wanted to see them fighting for too long. And in the absence of them going head to head, what do you have? You have little sort of aloof, wimpy dick, pardon the expression, Lex Luthor over here, who's much more the brains instead of the brawn. You need somebody, and I don't want to see these heroes fighting amongst themselves. Wonder Woman comes in, I don't want to see her having to play referee to Batman and Superman, still ongoing. You need a villain. You need somebody that, possesses a penultimate threat facade. And Doomsday, for lack of anything better, I guess, first time out, people are familiar with Doomsday more so than most DC Comics villains of great brawn and everything like that, that can, basically be a penultimate challenge to both Batman and Superman and even Wonder Woman. We don't know what this creature is going to be capable of. So I was much more, after a few more times thinking about it and watching the teaser, this particular trailer, number 2, I was much more like, yes, this is brilliant. You got to have Doomsday in there. But then, of course, as I say, Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot, just looking all kinds of sexy badass. With that shield and effectively deflecting seemingly the blast from Doomsday, or one of the blasts that Doomsday will, just fire out at the heroes and such like that. The second laugh for me of the trailer was, of course, Clark being like, is she with you? And then, Batman's like, oh, I thought she was with you. We're talking about a superpowered being that might as well be from Krypton, with the way she looks. The color motif, the red and the blue, the gold and everything like that. The superpowers being very much on par with Superman. Of course, she's using weapons like a sword and a shield and everything like that. Are they from the same planet and everything? I remember having a discussion like this with my grandmother, explaining to her as a teenager, wholly different thing. But that's what I'm excited about, for people to be learning about these heroes who aren't familiar with them, to see them on display, and to see by the end of this trailer something I was dying for after the first trailer, and even after that 47-second teaser, which goosebumps inducing as it was. I wanted to see the promise of the Justice League heroism, that level of heroism, that level of unity, and that's what this trailer gave me, and that was the most exciting aspect of it. The idea that these heroes are coming together. They're going to look past their petty squabbles, their misunderstandings, and they're going to see this threat that they need to combine their efforts to allay and to save the world. It looks like there's going to be wanton destruction in this sucker too, for people who were banging on negatively about that in Man of Steel and what like that. But yeah, I mean, this was it. This was the more I watch of it, the more excited I get. The more I think about where they're probably going with the plot line and everything like that, the more excited I get. And I'm just stoked. I'm uber stoked after watching this like a dozen times and just making sense of it in my mind and seeing it for what it's going to be. And at least, the tone I hope they're going for and the aspects of the story I hope they're going for, we're going to see some, penultimate battling back and forth. We may see nightmare scenarios and dream sequences. It's hard to tell what all that's going to amount to at this juncture. And it's hard to tell if this is going to be a festering turd by the end once it's released. We can only go based on this trailer and judge the trailer for what it is. And again, my initial reaction, I was kind of half and half. I was like, I love so much of it, but there's so much of it I'm just not sure about. And at this point now, a dozen times in, and I'm like, it can't get here soon enough. I wish I had the super speed. I wish I could flash blast myself to that theater in the future and be watching this sucker now, because it is a lifelong dream in realization. If this trailer holds any hope to the promise of what this film is going to be. And yeah, just fanboying. Like, I'm back in school again, the first time the 1989 Batman film came out, and it was my world. It was the answer to the things that I had grown up with. I grew up with shades of the Adam West 60s TV series and reruns, and 80s comics and everything like that, cartoons, Saturday morning cartoons of the Justice League. And as I was getting into my teens, with the 89 Batman, it was like I was growing up as sort of cinema, as Hollywood was growing up in their interpretations of how to adapt these heroes. And it's been a steady evolution, not counting the Joel Schumacher Batman and Robin movie, which was, but I digress. In any case, mad stoked. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of this teaser or this trailer. I keep calling it a teaser, you know, because we had in the last week a teaser and a trailer. So, but let me know what you thought of both, what your reactions were, if you had any trepidation like I did in the initial watching and being kind of like just not sure if I was feeling where they were going with it. And then after so many times of watching it, just really understanding where they were going and where they're presumably going, I should say. And I'm more than cautiously optimistic. I'm like bouncing off the walls, excited. Let me know if you are as well. And if not, why not? Let me know what problems or issues or concerns you may have had with the trailer. Maybe you're really not liking this depiction of Lex Luthor, and it's understandable because it took me aback at first, but I think we're going to see more ominous tidings. I think it's much more a level of, if you're familiar with Doctor Who, kind of the Master. You know, he's kind of psychotic and bouncing off the walls to comedic effect at certain times, and then when you see him being very rueful and very evil and ominous, you're going to really feel it resonating. At least that's the hope for me. So yeah, as I say, let me know in the comments below what you thought of this sucker. Bring it on, man. 2016 can't get here soon enough. And that'll be it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.